Richard, that's my business. I've been a graphic designer for nearly 40 years, and I've been a photographer for 15, and I do both at the same time, a lot of the time. But today I'm talking about photography. I'm going to very quickly show you some of my work so you know what I do, but that's not what I'm here today about. So I photograph people, start off with headshots, then sometimes go into sort of environmental portraits that show people around their environment, around their office, illustrates what business they're in, tied in with the brand of that particular business, photograph their staff, so the web developers in the room. If you want images, start off with an About Us page, you've got your headshot, then you can have images on all your other pages that illustrate what the company does, what they make. I also do products. Those products tend to be quite big. I do quite a lot of agricultural, construction, commercial vehicles. This was a very difficult shoot made up of about 15 shots in a technique called light painting. I won't go into it now, but I've got a video if anyone's interested how that's constructed. Those vehicles, because I'm a graphic designer, I also do the editorial pieces that go with it. So I do regular magazines for some of these manufacturers and do all the photography and design within that. The only thing I don't do is write the words. So these are the sort of images that would appear when I'm photographing vehicles. Any other sort of manufacturing business, it's good to show your processes, what you do, how you make it, the staff that are involved. It doesn't have to be engineering. This one particular business, they make high value leather goods in Warsaw, so again I photograph their staff, give the company a look and feel. It's all handmade, it's all authentic, it's all artisan, it's all some of the people creating these products have been doing it for 30-40 years. But then I also photograph the products. So on the website you've got your e-commerce shots on a white background. You've got your lifestyle shots that might appear in brochures, might be on the web pages for the header images. I'm not into leather, this just happened to be that I photographed a lot of leather. These are seats for SVR Range Rovers.
You ride around in leather at the weekends, come on.
Well, yeah. I also do education stuff, so I do prospectus images for schools, private schools, academies, etc. Again, that's just photographing happy people, so parents can see, you know, it's a nice place to send their kids. I also do events, anything from a small networking event like this to huge international conferences, award ceremonies, gala dinners, product launches, charity events, all manner of events that you need images to record. I do property, commercial property, office blocks, resale units, industrial property, big warehouse sheds. Commercial property, this can be for housing developers, architects, builders, high value estate agents. This particular property was I'm guessing a £7 or £8 million house in the Cotswolds, shot for the developer. And when I'm doing property, I also do aerial photography. So as a registered and insured drone pilot, I can also do aerial images if they're needed. So that's effectively what I do. Every day is different, but how can you take better pictures if you can't afford to hire me? Or you just want to take better pictures of your kids, your dogs, whatever. So we've all got a camera in our pocket, and these days the camera in this is probably better than if you went out and bought a digital camera from 10 years ago. What makes the biggest difference with a picture you take in terms of how good it can be, it's not the camera, it's not the megapixels, it's not the lens, it's not the how many frames per second, it's the lighting, in my opinion. If you've got bad lighting, it doesn't matter if you've got the most expensive camera in the world, you've got a bad photograph. So a couple of tips when you're taking pictures specifically of people, but not necessarily all the people. Don't get people facing into the sun, because all they'll do is that. So everyone will be either have their eyes closed or squinting so severely you can't see them. If you look at the pictures there, the difference between shooting at midday on a sunny day, on the left you've got panda eyes, you've got deep shadows under the eyes, under the face, under the nose, very unflattering, looks pretty horrible. to the picture that's still taken in daylight. There's no expensive lights added. It's just in the shade. So try and shoot at the best time of day. If you're going out to take pictures of a particular event, you can't control the time. But if you want to go out and take nice pictures, shoot at a nice time of the day. Late in the evening, early in the morning, sun's a bit lower, it's not as harsh, it's got a bit more colour in it, it gives you generally a better lighting. Photographers call it the golden hour, and then it goes into the blue hour if you're shooting in dusk and twilight. As I've said, put people in the shade. If you ever go to a wedding and you're a guest at a wedding on a really sunny day, you'll find that the photographer on doing that wedding will generally put the bride and groom under a tree somewhere, because it's just so unflattering the light, and generally they'll have their eyes closed most of the time. So the perfect conditions, if you're photographing people outside, are on an overcast cloudy day, because the light is pulled soft, so there's no harsh shadows, it's even, it's flattering, and generally you'll get much better results. The other thing to think about is composition. A lot of these composition rules don't just apply for photography. Painters have been using these rules for hundreds of years. There are lots of different compositional techniques or guidelines, but I'll just mention one, the rule of thirds. If you watch any feature film or any TV interview, the person's head will never be in the middle of the screen. It will always be one side or another. That's down to the rule of thirds. It just looks better that way. So if you're photographing something and you've got a specific area of interest in the frame, be it a person, be it an object, be it a product, be it a landscape and there's a house or something, or a bunch of trees, put that where those three areas intersect. So you divide into thirds horizontally, vertically, and where those lines intersect, that's your rule of thirds. So put the area of interest, or perhaps the horizon, along those lines, and you'll find that the picture, for some reason, miraculously looks better. Use all of the frame. The one thing that people often do, if I said to Emma, take a picture of me, the chances are you'd sit there, do that, and take a picture of me. Whereas, and I'd most likely be a tiny speck in the whole frame of the picture. Whereas what you should do is go and take a picture of me. You've paid a lot of money for that camera and all those megapixels and all that fantastic electronics. Use all of it. So use all the frames to fill whatever it is you want to take a picture of, rather than having superfluous background and clutter and mess and whatever it is, you've got to zoom in and then it goes blurry and it starts looking terrible. Most people's phones, mine's quite an old iPhone, it's only got one lens, but if you've got a newer one, you've probably got 2 or 3 lenses. So you might have a wide angle lens, you might have a zoom lens on it. But if you haven't got a zoom, there's a natural zoom, and it's called your legs. So get closer. So if I was taking a portrait, again of Emma, from here, I'm going to get the whole room in. If I'm taking a headshot of Emma or a portrait, I'll come to here and I'll just frame her head and shoulders. So the image will be much better quality, it'll be much sharper, there'll be less going on in the background. If you're going to take a picture and you get it phone out, right, I'm ready, don't automatically think, I'm going to take it from where I got my phone out of my pocket. Walk around, go left, go right, go up, go down. Change your point of view. If you're taking pictures of pets, children, get down to their eye level. There's nothing worse, you know, as a parent or a grandparent, seeing pictures of kids. You're looking down at the top of their head if they're on the floor. You know, if I'm doing, I don't do family shoots that often, but most of the time if I do, I'm lying on my stomach. Because if there's a toddler on the floor, I'm at their level. And also go up high, get a different point of view. It just makes it a bit more interesting as a composition and as a photo, full stop. So using your phones, what sort of controls can you use that will make better pictures? If you're not Apple, it might be different on a different phone, but essentially you can change the focus and the exposure. So you can make it lighter, or darker, and where you put your phone, your finger on the screen, you can put that as the focus point. So you can then make sure, I want to focus on, picking on Emma again, Emma's eyes. If you're taking a picture of people, you focus on their eyes. But the phone will only ever automatically expose what it thinks is the right exposure. More often than not, it's somewhere close, but it's never perfect. So if you want it slightly darker or slightly brighter, you can change it yourself. If you're photographing 4 people in dark dinner suits, if the phone's on automatic, the dinner suits will come out grey because the phone and the camera will automatically overexpose because it's trying to make a mid-level image. If you're photographing a bride in a white dress, or you're photographing someone playing in the snow, the picture will come out grey because the phone is automatically trying to capture a grey image. So more often than not, the phone gets it wrong. So by adjusting the exposure yourself, you get it how you want it to look. HDR is something that most phones do automatically these days, and that effectively means it takes 3 pictures. So it takes what it thinks is the right exposure, takes another one darker, another one lighter, and without you knowing it, it merges it together and gives you a mixture of all 3 as the picture. And that means that on a day like today, when you've got really bright sunshine, you've got sort of hard shadows, it's got a much better chance of capturing all that range. It's called a dynamic range of the different exposures. So if you've got it, use it. The flashes on our phones are generally crap. Unless you're shooting in the nightclub and you want to take a picture and it's pitch black, don't use it. It will kill any atmosphere in the room. It's just not worth doing. So try not to use flash. Most by default it will be on auto. So if it's dark, you take your finger out, you press it, and it will flash. Turn it off and only turn it back on if you really have to, because again, it's not really made for that. Works better as a torch. And also learn the software that comes in your phone app. So whatever phone you've got, whatever camera app you've got, there'll be a way of pressing on edit, and then you can go and change the exposure after you've taken the picture. So you can make it brighter or darker. You can change the contrast, you can change the sharpness, you can change the colour balance. So if it looks too yellow, you can make it slightly cooler. If it looks too blue, you can make it slightly warmer. You can make it a bit sharper. If it's a bit blurry. All these things are quite easily, literally within a couple of finger presses on your phone app. So if it didn't come out quite right automatically, you can shift it around. It's similar to the sort of filters that came out with Instagram years ago and other software like that, but you're in control of it, so you can decide how you want the picture to look. So play around, move them all the way up to 100 and move them 100 the other way and see what happens to them. You might not like it, it might look terrible, but at least you know what that little thing does now. So when you do need to make an adjustment, you can use it. And the last one, a bit common sense really. If you're taking a picture of a stunning landscape vista, don't have your phone up that way, have it that way. And likewise, if you're taking a picture of someone's face, don't have it that way, because you're just wasting the area of the frame, or not maximising the full potential of the image really. How are we doing for time?
You're on 13 minutes.
And the last one really is just tips for social media, which effectively is everything I've just said. If you're a small business and you're doing your own social media and you're creating your own content, what you put on social media is your brand. Your brand isn't just your logo, it's everything anybody ever sees of your business. So if you're putting on drunken selfies from a night out and it's going on your work Instagram, it's going to cause a problem, or people are going to see you negatively. So think about what you're putting on if you're doing it in a work environment. Steer clear of cheesy stock images. There are loads of places online you can download free images, and they will be technically good photos taken by professional photographers, but the chances are people will have seen them 1,000 times before everywhere else. I can't remember the name of them, but there was a big law firm in Wolverhampton who for a year on Twitter, a couple of years ago, every single post used exactly the same stock image of a dummy meeting of business execs in a room. And all these posts were different, talking about different areas of the law firm and all the things they did, but they used the same image every single time, and it just looked absolutely atrocious. Try and get the context of the post, obviously in the pictures, and use more images than one, really. You know, most social platforms, you can post a number of images, or you can do a montage in one image of various others. So if it's a particular story of, you know, I did such and such at work today, rather than putting one picture on, tell a story with 3 or 4 pictures. You know, what it was when you started it, when the task was done, what it was when it was completed. It just gives people a bit more of an idea of what you've achieved. And briefly mentioned the filters. Not many people use them as much as they used to years ago, but steer clear of them because they will end up looking a bit cheesy. They're sort of trendy now and again, and if you're using them when the trend's gone, again, it's got negative connotations. So if you learn how to edit yourself, you can almost create your own filters and look. So, you know, do you want your picture to be all warm and lots of saturated colour and inviting, or do you want it almost sort of black and white and a bit sort of moody? You're in charge and you can do this yourself. Well, that last bullet point is how I started. So essentially what you put on your social channels is your brand. So be careful of posting stuff that might not look as you want it to be. And I think that's it.